Hello and welcome to the Northwest Treatment Vidcast.
Hello, Jessica.
Hey, Léa.
So today we're going to talk about self-care.
Right. This week, we're not going to actually give a particular skill. We're going to talk about the category of self-care.
And this is one that's near and dear to my heart. As somebody who struggles with depression and depressive episodes.
Right. We both have some of that we struggle with. There's definitely been a lot of articles written. There's a lot of opinions on it. There's some people that categorize, self-care as, oh, just take a bubble bath,
I hate
and then
that.
it's very dismissive, and self-care is actually very important, but it's also not one thing. It's like a scale, and there's different
Yeah,
levels.
they are. They totally are. And so for sometimes, I never really had the depression where you're just stuck in your bed.
It's not
That's
good. I don't recommend it.
that wasn't my version of it. My version of it is this fiery anger that just stays right under the surface and will come out at times. And so for me, this idea of well, go take yourself a bubble bath does not help. Actually, it makes things worse for me a lot of times, actually.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about those nuances for people and delve in a lot more into this idea of you need to figure out for yourself what your self-care looks like, and also acknowledge that it's going to change over time.
Right. And it's one of those things that it's all about figuring out what works for us. Some people do really enjoy a bubble bath.
Absolutely.
One of my roommates is really great with, they'll read well in the bathtub, and that's really relaxing for them. And sometimes they have, some physical strain and physical, a lot of work they do. And so that is a relaxing muscle situation as well. Whereas I hate baths. I am not going to take a bath unless it's, I don't know, somehow very decadent, and usually feels like a waste of my time, But sometimes when I was really struggling with my depression, I wouldn't shower,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was very hard for me to get up the energy to shower. And it was kind of one of those where I had a really good therapist and worked with me on coming up with different options, and coming up with, for instance, there's the idea of, okay, I'm so exhausted, I can't think about going through and making myself lunch, like making a sandwich, but
Yeah.
I could go walk into the kitchen and eat a piece of cheese. You know, that's a start.
Yeah.
And it's coming up with achievable goals. And sometimes it's about bare minimum, and sometimes it's more like, I do need a vacation. I need, my family or roommates, or for you, your kids, to go somewhere else. So you have a day to just be lazy, whatever it is you guys need as a self-care, kind of indulgence for you.
So the way I always like to think about self-care is a couple of different ways, but one of the major ways is, how is this going to feed my soul,
Right.
right? Like my spirit, what does my spirit really need? And then sometimes it's, what do I just need, in this very moment? And it
Yeah.
can be anything from a bath. Every once in a while, I have been known to do that. And usually it involves me being in a bath by myself for an hour. And really it's just code for I want to be left alone.
Right.
And the bath is the avenue that I have for said thing of, just leave me be for an hour today
Right.
because I need a break. It can be a physical activity,
Right. You
right?
going out in the mornings and working out.
Yeah, and one of my big things that I used to be able to do was climbing, and for
Right.
me that was a huge part of my self-care for a very long time. To something so small as just I'm just gonna read for half an hour in my bed.
Right. It's one of those where I have definitely found for myself, if I don't set aside an hour to read, sometimes even two, depending,
Yeah.
if I don't go for a walk for 20 minutes, even just around the property, or, I'm lucky enough to live walkable to a park, walk through the park by myself with some music on, something to just get a little movement, something to get some time by myself to clear my head, especially with, everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah. And so one of the things I love is that there was a TED Talk where the woman, I believe it was Jane McGonigal, and I'm really sorry if I got that wrong, talks about self-care as a game. So for the gamers out there, for the geeks, and I really love that concept of just like, you get 1 point for your shower, but you get 5 points for walking. You get
Right.
3 points for getting out of bed or whatever it is. And you get to come up with your own rules with it. And you assign it, and you want to come up to like a certain number per day.
Right. And they can all have different weights. There's
Yeah.
a lot into the idea of gamifying anything, whether it's work, whether it's self-care, whatever it is. And so it was a pretty cool, I think I remember this TED Talk from a bit ago, and it was very cool, if it's the one I'm thinking of.
And I really like it. And she talks about that's how she got herself out of her depression. I think she was laid up because of a physical issue that she was having. She was
I
sick,
think
if
so,
I
yeah.
recall.
Yeah.
And then like she started playing this game, and she was able to get herself feeling better, including like doing her physical therapy and doing all these different parts of things, of just like things to do for self-care. And
Right.
I think I've talked to you about it. My biggest pet peeve really comes with moms, of just like telling a mom that her self-care is a shower. And I'm like,
No.
do not tell me that.
Hey, if you're not a mom, don't tell moms how to do other things, first of all.
Please don't. But the big thing about it is that a lot of times I had postpartum depression, but showering wasn't part of, again, that's not my personal depression. It's not getting up and getting into the shower. That's the issue for me.
Right.
For me, it was being able to put my son down and have somebody watch him and not feel guilty about it, and be able to just take a minute for myself. And I think we forget that a lot of times, about the mentality of self-care as opposed to the actual action, right? Like,
Right.
go brush your hair, that's self-care. Go get a shower, that's self-care. And it's like, no, it's taking the time for yourself that is
Right.
actually the self-care that we're talking about. And I don't want that to be lost in translation for people. Like,
Yeah.
take the time that you need to take care of you, whatever it is that you need. If you need a shower, do it. Obviously, go take your shower, for goodness sake. Absolutely. But if it's, you actually need to have a break from whatever's happening around you, take the break if you can, for sure.
And sometimes it's about figuring out which of those you do need, which one you're feeling. And it is not just the physical action, it is also the mental state you're in, or
Yeah.
the relaxed state to get you there. And it does change, and it is one of those things that can be a struggle. So doing some research, asking other people's opinions, a lot of that is helpful.
Actually, it's funny you say that about the changing, because like I said, climbing was part of my self-care for such a long time. And it was an activity I really enjoyed, and it helped me lower my stress and do all those things. And when I started grad school while I was working, I became extremely stressed out about making sure that I was still hitting the gym every, like, I think I was going 7 times a week, almost climbing, where I was going out on trips on the weekends. And I finally had to tell my friends, I was like, look, guys, I'm sorry. I have to back out of these things. It's causing stress. I'm not able to get my work done. I can't get the stuff that I wanted to get done.
Can't enjoy it.
And I'm not enjoying it anymore. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's about figuring out what you guys need and then finding a way to get that need met.
exactly. And so with that, we wish you to be well and to be healthy.
Thanks, guys.